I spot it the moment I step into the reception hall. Something is wrong. The chandelier lights spill across the pristine white tablecloths like liquid diamonds, illuminating the rose arrangements I selected myself. Pale pink blooms nestled against sprays of baby's breath, exactly as I'd specified. The crystal glassware catches the light, throwing rainbow prisms across the walls. Everything looks perfect. Everything I planned for Sophia's wedding day stands exactly as I envisioned. Everything except the family table. My stride falters mid-step, the sound of my heels against marble suddenly loud in my ears. I count silently 1, 2, 3 chairs. 3, not 4. I blink, certain I've missed something. Mom, Dad, Sophia. 3 chairs at the family table. None for me. I stand frozen, clutching my clipboard against my chest like a shield. A waiter brushes past, murmuring an apology, but I barely register his words. The room continues its pre-reception buzz around me while I stare at that table, at the empty space where my chair should be. Mother turns, her champagne glass poised midair when she spots me. The small smile she offers doesn't reach her eyes. "Ainsley," she says, my name sounding like an afterthought on her lips. "Is everything prepared for Sophia's entrance?" I gesture toward the table. There are only 3 chairs. Her gaze flickers briefly to the seating arrangement, then back to me, cool and untroubled. "Yes, you don't need one." The words land like a physical blow. I feel my shoulders stiffen, my spine straighten in defense. "I see." My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Sophia appears at Mother's elbow, resplendent in the wedding gown I helped select, ivory lace over champagne satin that complements her olive complexion perfectly. "The head count is wrong at the family table," I say, though I already know the answer. Sophia's eyes narrow slightly, the familiar crease appearing between her brows. Maybe the staff made a mistake. Her voice holds that familiar tone, the one that suggests any inconvenience in her world must be someone else's fault. I hold her gaze for a heartbeat longer than comfortable. I understand. The words taste like ash, but I keep my voice even, my expression composed. Then I turn and walk away, my clipboard held tight against my chest, my posture perfect, every step an act of will. I find a quiet corner near the service entrance and flip through the pages on my clipboard, though I've memorized every detail of this day. My hands tremble slightly, betraying the composure I'm fighting to maintain. Just last night, I'd been in this very hall until 3 in the morning, supervising the placement of each centerpiece, approving the lighting setup, ensuring everything was flawless for Sophia's big day. While the family slept in their hotel suites, I'd crawled through every inch of this venue. My phone buzzes with a text from the florist. "We're only continuing because we trust you. Sophia hasn't paid us." I close my eyes briefly, remembering the moment last week when I quietly transferred $4,200 from my own account to cover the floral deposit after Sophia's card was declined. Another expense she'll never know about, another silent contribution to her perfect day. I catch my reflection in a decorative mirror mounted on the wall. Navy dress, simple, elegant, one I designed and sewed myself. Hair swept into a perfect chignon, makeup flawless. Nothing in my appearance betrays the hollowness spreading through my chest. 3 chairs. Not 4. A cluster of guests glance my way, their whispers poorly concealed behind fluttering programs. I straighten my shoulders and pretend not to notice. "Your sister's wedding is beautiful. You did an amazing job." The voice startles me from my thoughts. Melissa Banks, my childhood friend from Columbus, stands beside me, genuine warmth in her eyes. "Thank you," I reply, my smile practiced but genuine for her. "Just doing my job." "Your job?" Melissa's eyebrows lift in surprise. "You planned all this? I thought you just helped with the dress." Melissa's eyebrows. I shake my head. I coordinated everything. Venue, flowers, menu, music. "That's incredible," she says, then lowers her voice. "Though I'm surprised you're not sitting with your family." Before I can answer, another memory surfaces, Mother's voice at the rehearsal dinner last night, her arm around Sophia as she introduced her to distant relatives. "This is my precious daughter, the one who will inherit everything." When Uncle Robert had asked about me, her response had been dismissive. "She's busy with work, not really part of the family celebrations." Not really part of the family. I find myself in a secluded alcove, laptop balanced on my knees. My finger hovers over the send button on a crucial email. 7 days ago, I'd sent an official warning letter about unpaid invoices, professional, courteous, but clear. It had been met with complete silence. Family loyalty versus professional integrity. The eternal struggle of my existence. I stare at the screen, remembering the empty space at that table, the deliberate exclusion. 3 chairs, not 4. This ends today. 15 minutes later, I settle into a corner booth of Cafe Roma, across from the wedding venue, laptop open and a half-empty espresso growing cold at my elbow. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I pull up the family financial records I've been tracking since taking over as their event planner 3 years ago. The screen illuminates my face in the dimly lit cafe as I click through folders labeled with meticulous care. My stomach tightens when I open the mortgage statements. This can't be right, I whisper, though I know the numbers don't lie. Our family home outside Columbus, the sprawling brick colonial with white columns that my parents boasted, cost $1.2 million, now carries not 1 but 2 mortgages. The second one, taken out just 6 months ago, nearly equals the first. I pull up the credit card statements next. 4 months overdue on 3 separate accounts, minimum payments ignored, interest compounding daily. Each statement bears Sophia's signature, my mother's authorization. Then I find it the trust fund records. My fingers go still as ice forms in my chest. The Grandmother Lopez Educational Trust, established for both Sophia and me, shows a balance of $3,421. Last year at this time, it held over $240,000. A series of withdrawals, each marked S. Lopez Educational Expenses, drained it systematically over the past 8 months. The same 8 months during which Sophia planned this lavish wedding while simultaneously claiming financial hardship. My phone vibrates against the table, the screen lighting up with the florist's name, Miss Lopez. Sarah's voice trembles slightly when I answer. I hate to bother you during the wedding, but we need payment confirmation by 4 p.m. The final balance of $12,600 remains unpaid, and Miss Sophia isn't responding to our calls. Before I can respond, another text arrives from the caterer. Urgent. Credit card declined for wedding meal balance. Please advise. And another from the lighting technician. Final payment not received. Do we proceed with reception lighting? I close my eyes, remembering our childhood home with its gleaming hardwood floors and crystal chandeliers. The Christmas, when 12-year-old Sophia unwrapped a purebred show horse, while I received a department store gift card. The summer she toured Europe while I worked double shifts at the local diner. College acceptance letters arrived for both of us the same week. Sophia's came with my parents' promise of a fully furnished apartment near campus. Mine came with loan applications. We believe in you, Ainsley, Dad had said, his hand on my shoulder. You're the responsible one. You'll manage just fine. I signed those papers alone in my bedroom, $40,000 in student loans, with interest rates I barely understood. The monthly payments still arrive like clockwork, eating into my Brooklyn rent budget while Sophia's credit card statements arrive at our parents' address. My fingers trace the screen, following the trust fund withdrawals backward in time. Each coincides perfectly with Sophia's social media posts. Aspen ski vacation, Bermuda holiday, Mediterranean cruise. Educational expenses indeed. A forgotten memory surfaces. Last Thanksgiving dinner. Mother raising her glass. To Sophia's new position at the gallery. No mention of my company's expansion to international clients. No acknowledgement of the award I'd received the previous month. My phone buzzes with a text from Marco, the hotel manager I've worked with for years. Is everything all right? We noticed you weren't seated with family. Before I can reply, a message arrives from Janine, the photographer who's captured every major event I've planned for the past 5 years. I've worked with you for years. What do you need? Just say the word. Then another from the DJ, the videographer, the cake baker, all professionals I've built relationships with, all expressing concern not for the bride but for me. 3 days ago floods back into my memory with perfect clarity. I'd arrived early at the venue, organizing place cards, when I overheard Mother on her phone in the adjacent room. Prepare 3 seats only. She'd instructed someone. Ainsley doesn't count as family. She's just the help. The words had pierced me, but I'd pushed the pain aside, focusing instead on ensuring Sophia's centerpieces arrived on time. Now I open Instagram, where Sophia's latest post glows on the screen. So blessed to have the perfect family supporting my perfect day. I've planned every detail myself. Attached is a photo of my carefully crafted seating arrangement, with my handwriting visible on the table cards. I close my eyes, weighing family loyalty against self-respect. The empty chair at the family table. The drained trust fund. The years of dismissal disguised as praise for my independence. Mother's words echo. Ainsley doesn't count as family. With steady hands, I sign the digital document I'd prepared 7 days ago, a formal notification of service withdrawal due to non-payment, effective immediately. My company logo sits at the top, professional and impersonal. Family respects family, I whisper to the empty cafe. This isn't respect. I press send, then systematically forward copies to every vendor still awaiting payment. With each click, the weight of obligation lifts from my shoulders, replaced by something unfamiliar, the lightness of choosing myself for the very first time. My phone begins to light up with responses. I silence it, close my laptop, and finally take a sip of my cold espresso. It tastes like freedom. 10 minutes later, back at the venue, I spotted Sophia first. Her veil catches the light as she weaves between tables, desperation radiating from her perfect posture. Her eyes lock on mine across the reception hall, and for a heartbeat, I see genuine fear flicker across her face. Ainsley! Her voice carries a tremor I've never heard before. What's happening? The bar just closed and the hotel manager is asking about payment. Fix this. I close my laptop with a soft click. 7 days. I gave them 7 days to address the unpaid invoices. 7 days of silence. I've withdrawn my company's master account guarantee, I say, my voice steady. The hotel requires immediate payment now. Sophia's face crumples. Not with gratitude for the thousands I've already covered, but with entitled outrage. What are you talking about? You can't just... I can. I did. The words come easily, surprising me with their strength. Every vendor received notice of service suspension 10 minutes ago. Behind her, the reception dissolves into confusion. The string quartet packs their instruments mid-song. Waiters remove half-filled champagne glasses. At the center of it all stands my mother, credit card extended toward an apologetic hotel manager, her expression transitioning from bewilderment to fury as her card is declined. My father hovers nearby, attempting another card, then another. His shoulders slump with each shake of the manager's head. For the first time in my life, I see him look small. The photographer Renee, who I've worked with for years, catches my eye from across the room. She gives me a subtle nod before turning her camera toward the family's panic, documenting the unraveling of their perfect facade. I stand, straightening my navy dress. The clipboard I've clutched all day transforms from a symbol of service into something more powerful, a shield, a weapon, a declaration of independence. Each step I take toward the center of the room feels momentous, as if I'm crossing not just a reception hall but a threshold in my life. The hotel manager spots me and immediately straightens his tie. Miss Lopez, thank you for coming over. I have the contracts right here as you requested. Beside him, my mother's eyes narrow to dangerous slits. What is she talking about? We hired her company. She works for us. Actually, the manager says, his tone professionally polite but cool toward her. Miss Lopez's event planning firm is one of our most valued partners. Her company's master account guarantee was the only reason we proceeded without full payment upfront. The shift is immediate and visible. Staff who had been solicitous toward my family now direct their attention to me. Glasses of water appear for me, not them. Chairs are pulled out for my convenience, not theirs. The power dynamic tilts with dizzying speed. Sophia grabs my arm, her acrylic nails digging into my skin. Please don't do this, she whispers, her voice dropping to a desperate plea. You'll ruin everything for me. Just this one day, my wedding day. For a moment, I waver. Deep beneath the anger and hurt, I still remember building blanket forts with her when we were children, before our parents' favoritism became her birthright. A tiny flicker of my inherent kindness surfaces, urging me to relent. My mother senses this hesitation. She strides forward, designer heels clicking against marble, her face arranged in the artificial confidence I've seen her deploy at Columbus Country Club gatherings when the Lopez family reputation needed defending. She won't dare, she says, voice pitched to carry to nearby guests. Ainsley has always been just a shadow in this family. She knows her place. The words sink into me like stones into still water, creating ripples that cannot be called back. A shadow. Just a shadow. I watch my own transformation reflected in my mother's eyes, as her confidence falters. The clipboard in my hands no longer trembles. What's happening? A wedding guest murmurs nearby. Are they not paying? The sister planned everything, another whispers. Apparently they never paid her company. I reach for the document the hotel manager extends, taking the pen from his hand. My signature flows across the suspension confirmation with the calm precision that has built my reputation in this industry. The looping letters of my name represent not just my identity, but my worth. I gave you 7 days to pay. I say, my voice measured and clear. You ignored me. I'm simply enforcing the contract. My father steps forward, his face pale. Ainsley, please. We can discuss this privately. Like you discussed removing my chair from the family table? I open my professional folder, removing the document I discovered 3 days ago. Or, perhaps we should discuss how Sophia drained the trust fund, where I was also a beneficiary. Gasps ripple through the gathering crowd. Sophia's new husband stares at her with dawning horror. That money was meant for both of us. I continue. $40,000 that could have paid off my student loans I had to take, because every penny of family support went to her. If you want to gather well, if you want a family support went to her. My mother's face hardens. You have no proof. I push the bank statements toward her. I have documentation of every withdrawal, every transfer. LMN. Sophia's tears transform from manipulation to genuine panic. Her mascara tracks dark rivers down her cheeks. They told me you wouldn't mind, she whispers, that you never expected anything from the family anyway. For the first time, I see the truth plain on their faces. They never valued me, never would. The empty chair wasn't an oversight, it was a statement. I close my folder and tuck it under my arm. The weight lifts from my shoulders as I straighten to my full height. I may not count as family, I say, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent room, but I count as a professional, and professionals get paid. I turn my back on their stunned faces and walk toward the exit. Behind me, I hear the distinct sound of my sister's perfect day collapsing, the murmur of scandalized guests, the click of Renee's camera capturing it all, the beginning of arguments that will never end. With each step, the invisible chains of obligation and hope fall away. By the time I reach the grand doorway, I am lighter than I've been in years. The afternoon sunlight catches me as I step outside, warm on my face. For the first time in my life, I feel the full power of standing in my own light, not as a shadow, but as myself. Half an hour later, the reception hall empties like water down a drain. Guests clutch gift bags to their chests and whisper as they hurry toward the exits. Where just an hour ago crystal stemware clinked with celebratory toasts, now waitstaff stack unused champagne flutes onto rolling carts. The white roses I selected with such care droop in their vases, petals beginning to fall like snow onto abandoned place settings. I stand in the shadows near the service entrance, watching. Sophia's new husband, Mark, paces near the half-cut wedding cake, phone pressed to his ear, his face twisted in confusion. The 6-tier creation I spent weeks designing with the baker stands partially dismantled, the bride and groom topper listing sideways at an undignified angle. The wedding coordinator, whom I hired as my stand-in when I realized I'd be attending as family, approaches an elderly couple with an apologetic smile. I'm so sorry, but there's been a financial situation with the hosting family. The reception is concluding early. My mother's church friends huddle in a tight circle, eyes darting toward Vivian, who sits alone at that 3-chair table, back rigid, staring at nothing. Some small, wounded part of me wants to feel victorious. Instead, I just feel hollow. Later that evening, I kicked off my heels in my apartment, still wearing the navy dress I sewed myself. The contrast between this modest space and the opulent Columbus Country Club strikes me anew. My fingers trace the worn arm of my second-hand sofa, a far cry from the antique Louis XIV furniture. Mother insists completes their living room. My phone lights up for the 19th time. Father. Sophia. Mother. Sophia again. The wedding planner. Mark. Mother. Father. I watch the notifications stack up, each one a tiny hammer against my resolve. Then, with 3 deliberate taps, I block each family number. The silence that follows feels like the first full breath I've taken in years. A bottle of Veuve Clicquot waits in my refrigerator, a gift from a grateful client that I'd been saving for a special occasion. If today doesn't qualify, nothing will. The cork pops with a satisfying thunk against my ceiling. To professional integrity, I whisper to my empty apartment, raising my glass in a solo toast. My laptop screen glows in the dimness. I open my banking app and wince at the balance. Then I start making calls. Carolyn? It's Ainsley Lopez. Yes. About today's wedding. I know, and I'm so sorry you were caught in the middle. I take a breath. I'll cover your outstanding balance personally. This isn't your fault. I repeat this conversation with the small florist who stayed open late, arranging boutonnieres, the family-owned bakery that created the towering cake, and the string quartet whose music was cut short. By the time I finish, my credit card carries an additional $14,000 in charges. We always knew we could trust you, Miss Lopez, the florist says, relief evident in her voice. That's why we continued despite the payment issues. Professional integrity matters more than family ties sometimes, I reply, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. My laptop chimes with new email notifications. The subject lines tell their own story. Notice of default. Second mortgage payment. Lopez family residence. Columbus Business Journal. Local family faces multiple lawsuits. A quick glance at social media shows Sophia has changed her relationship status to, it's complicated. Below it, a hastily written post. Anyone need a slightly used wedding dress? DM for details. Another email from the church secretary confirms mother's resignation from the parish board due to personal circumstances. Father's email sits unopened in my inbox. Subject: urgent financial advice needed. I delete it without reading. I open my contacts and methodically delete my emergency contact information. The field sits empty, cursor blinking in the void. After a moment's hesitation, I type the name of my therapist instead. My finger hovers over a folder of family photos on my phone. Delete them? The childhood memories, holiday gatherings, even the painful ones, they chart the path that brought me here. Instead of erasing them, I create a new album labeled What I Overcame and move them there. In my journal, I write a single line. The empty chair wasn't a rejection, it was direction. I curl up on my window seat, watching the city's lights flicker against the night sky. Tomorrow will bring consequences I can't predict. There will be anger, perhaps legal threats, certainly emotional manipulation, but tonight, for the first time since I can remember, the knot in my stomach has loosened. The weight on my shoulders has lifted. My apartment feels not small, but sufficient. Not lonely, but peaceful. Sometimes the most powerful seat at the table is the one you walk away from. 2 days after the wedding catastrophe, the news article appeared on my tablet during breakfast. Lopez family home enters foreclosure. I stare at the Columbus Dispatch headline. The words stark against the white background. My coffee cools beside my untouched bagel as I scroll through the article detailing my family's financial collapse. An email notification slides in from Mrs. Peterson, my mother's bridge partner for 15 years. Is it true about your parents moving to an apartment? Everyone at the club is talking. No. I swipe it away, only to find a LinkedIn update below it. Sophia Lopez is now seeking new opportunities in event coordination. The irony doesn't escape me, she's trying to enter my field after claiming credit for my work at her wedding. My phone buzzes with a bank notification. Lopez Family Trust. Legal proceedings initiated. The trust fund Sophia drained the one where my name existed on paper but never in practice. I place my devices face down on the table and finish my coffee. The liquid is cold now, bitter on my tongue. I don't flinch. I don't smile. I simply rinse my cup and place it in the dishwasher, my movements precise and controlled, just as they've always been. 3 weeks later, she appears without warning. I look up from my desk to find my mother standing in my office doorway, clutching her purse with white knuckles. Vivian Lopez, who once commanded rooms with her presence, looks diminished. The designer clothes replaced by department store basics. The carefully maintained blonde highlights now showing gray at the roots. We made a terrible mistake, she says, her voice stripped of its usual authority. We need your help. I gesture to the chair across from my desk, the irony not lost on either of us. A chair I'm offering that she once denied me. I needed your love my entire life, I say, my voice steady. You chose otherwise. She starts to speak, but my phone interrupts with Sophia's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, maintaining eye contact with my mother. Later, I listen to Sophia's message. The marriage is over. He left when he found out about the money. Her voice cracks. I didn't know how bad things were. Please call me back. That evening, A formal letter arrives from my father. His elegant handwriting covers 3 pages with apologies for past behavior, followed by a detailed request for financial assistance. The familiar pattern sentiment, followed by self-interest, makes something final settle in my chest. I arrange to meet them at a coffee shop 2 blocks from my apartment. Neutral territory. I arrive 10 minutes early and choose a corner table with clear sightlines to the door. They enter together, a unit as always, but diminished now. My father's shoulders stoop forward, his once commanding presence shrunken by financial ruin. Sophia trails behind them, her left hand conspicuously bare where her 4-carat engagement ring once Saturday. Her eyes are red-rimmed, lacking the confident spark that once defined her. I don't stand when they approach. I don't offer hugs or comforting platitudes. I simply gesture to the chairs. I've arranged 3 chairs, evenly spaced, directly across from mine. "Thank you for coming," I say. My mother speaks first, her fingers worrying at the strap of her purse. We always favored Sophia because she was easier to control. The admission hangs in the air between us. Your independence threatened us. We didn't know how to handle it. My father nods, eyes fixed on his coffee cup. We took the path of least resistance. It was wrong. Sophia looks up, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. They told me you owed us because you were the less lovable child. Her voice breaks. I believed them. The words should hurt. Perhaps once they would have. Now they simply confirm what I already know. We need help getting back on our feet, my father says, pulling documents from his briefcase. Just until we sort things out. The bank has given us 30 days to vacate. We thought perhaps your apartment. I raise my hand, stopping him mid-sentence. The debt between us isn't measured in dollars. Their expectant expressions shift to confusion, then disbelief as understanding dawns. You can't mean, my mother begins. I wish you well, I say, standing, but we no longer have a relationship. My mother's face crumples, not in the performative way I've seen throughout my life, but genuinely, the facade finally breaking to reveal the woman beneath. My father sits in stunned silence, papers half removed from his case. Sophia reaches for my hand. Please, Ainsley. I look at her fingers, the nails now unmanicured, the skin around them raw from nervous picking, and step back. The empty chair set me free. I say quietly. It showed me exactly where I stood with this family. I'm grateful for that clarity now. I walk toward the door, my steps measured and calm. The weight I've carried since childhood, the desperate need for their approval, the constant accommodation of their demands, falls away with each step. Behind me, I hear my mother's sobs, my father's belated calls. I don't look back. Some debts can never be repaid. Some chairs remain empty by choice. Outside, autumn sunlight warms my face. I breathe deeply, filling my lungs with crisp October air. For the first time in 33 years, I am fully, completely free. A year later, I traced my finger along the wrought iron railing of the Tuscan villa terrace, the warmth of the setting sun kissing my skin. Below me unfolds the wedding of international pop star Marissa Lawson, every detail executed with precision that would make my former self proud. The string quartet plays softly as guests in evening wear move like colorful brushstrokes across the stone courtyard. My assistant Jenna appears at my elbow, tablet in hand. Everything's proceeding perfectly, she says, then hesitates. Your mother called the office again. 4th time this month. I take a sip of Prosecco, the bubbles dancing across my tongue. The same answer as always. Jenna nods and slips away. I watch her coordinate with the photography team, her confidence a reflection of what I've built, a company that thrived after I walked away from family obligations to honor professional ones. The laptop on the table chimes, reminding me of my weekly therapy session. Dr. Freeman's face appears on screen, her silver-framed glasses catching the Italian sunset. Magnificent view, she notes. How are you feeling today? I consider this as a server delivers fresh-cut roses to the bridal suite below. I don't regret walking away. I regret waiting so long to do it. Not even. 2017 set example. And the nightmares about the wedding? Still occurring? Not in months. I turn the laptop to show her the vista. I've replaced those images with better ones. Later that evening, I return to my rented apartment overlooking the Arno River. The walls display photographs not of blood relatives, but of chosen family. My business partner Thomas, laughing during our company's 5th anniversary. The vendors who stood by me when everything fell apart. My therapy group during our retreat to Vermont. My phone chimes with a text from Robert, inviting me to dinner tomorrow with friends who've become more family than my actual relatives ever were. I respond with an immediate yes. Back in Columbus, according to mutual friends, reality has transformed my family's carefully crafted image. Mother works the perfume counter at Macy's, her designer clothes replaced with a department store uniform. Sophia's divorce finalized 3 months after her husband discovered the truth about their finances. She lives in a studio apartment remarkably similar to the one she mocked me for renting during college. The irony isn't lost on me. My parents now occupy a modest 2-bedroom rental in a complex they once drove past with disdain. Those people should try harder, Mother had commented when I was 16. Now she is those people. The following afternoon, I interview Jessica Winters, a young event planner whose resume mirrors my own beginnings, working her way through college while planning events for free to build a portfolio. My parents think this career is beneath me, she admits, voice breaking slightly. They wanted a doctor or lawyer. I wanted a doctor or lawyer. I lean forward. Family doesn't always see your worth. That doesn't diminish it. Her eyes drift to the framed photograph on my wall, a single empty chair beneath a chandelier. What does that represent? She asks. It reminds me that sometimes not having a seat leads you to building your own table. I watch understanding dawn in her eyes. That chair was at my sister's wedding. Finding it empty was the best thing that ever happened to me. The tears that fill her eyes aren't sad ones, they're recognition. Back on the terrace that evening, I raise a silent toast to the stars appearing above Tuscany. Last month, I established the Empty Chair Foundation, providing scholarships for event planning students without family support. Yesterday, I accepted an invitation to give a TED Talk about maintaining professional integrity within personal relationships. This morning, I answered a letter from a young woman in Nebraska. Your story helped me find my own strength. My handwritten reply was simple. Your chair at life's table is always guaranteed. The stars reflect in my wine glass as night embraces the Italian countryside. In the glass, I see both the woman I am now and the shadow of who I once was, the daughter desperate for approval, the sister accepting scraps of affection, the professional whose family exploited her talents. I speak softly to the night sky. The empty seat at my sister's wedding wasn't a loss, it was the turning point that helped me find my rightful place in life. And for the first time in 33 years, that place feels exactly right.